Okay, so in this tutorial I'm going to demonstrate the installation for Microsoft System Center Operations Manager 2007 R2 or SCOM. And what SCOM is, it's a Microsoft solution that gives you greater insight into the performance and health of your Microsoft servers. So before I continue with the installation, first I would like to run a prerequisite check here. And some of the major prerequisites are the SQL Server 2005 or 2008 installation with Service Pack 1 and also .NET and ASP.NET framework. So I'm going to click on check now to see whether or not I have fulfilled all the prerequisites, and I have. And if you have any failed status for any prerequisite, you can click on the more button to find out how to fulfill that particular prerequisite, or where you can download that particular prerequisite files. So I'm going to click on close, and then I'm going to click on install Operations Manager 2007 R2. So I'm going to go next, accepting the license agreements. And then we're going to install all components. Now remember, this particular component installation is the Operations Manager component, and Operations Manager basically is the component of SCOM that is the first component to be installed, and this is basically a database that holds all the configuration data and stores all the monitoring data that has been collected and processed by your SCOM agents that are installed on client and server PCs. So we have, as part of this installation, we have the database that stores all that information, we have the management server, and also a user interface, and also web console interface that you can use to view this data that has been collected from your agents. So I'm just gonna change the location to a drive that has enough space for my particular installation. Okay, and then we're gonna continue with the installation. We're gonna go next, and then here you need to give a management group name. It can be anything that you want, so I'm just gonna call it some arbitrary name, and then we're gonna leave it as the defaults here for administrators that have full permission to perform any action within the management group. So I'm going to leave it as is, and then I'm going to select the default database instance that was already created when we installed the SQL Server previously. And then this is the name of the database that SCOM will use to store all its monitoring data that it has collected from agents. And also you can set the size of the database. For my purposes, since I only have a few computers, I'm just going to reduce this to about 400. Okay, so you need at least a minimum of 500. So I'm going to put exactly that. And then I'm going to set the domain administrator account, which is the account that's going to be used by Operations Manager for tasks such as running, such as installing agents on computers. So you're going to get a warning here, but since this is just for demonstration, I'm going to leave it as the domain administration account. And for this section, I'm going to leave it as a local system account to access a database that is stored on this computer. And the web console authentication is going to use Windows authentication. I'm going to skip the error sending. And then finally, I'm going to click install to install the Operations Manager database and the Operations Manager component of SCOM 2007 R2. Okay, so we've received a warning, failure to start the health service. So we're going to check that after the installation completes. So upon completing the wizard, we have options to back up the encryption key and also start the console. So I'm going to click on finish. And let's take a look at the database changes that were made by SCOM 2007. This is the console that we will be using to view data that is collected from SCOM. And under databases, we see there's a database for the Operations Manager that we just installed. So you should see this after you've installed the Operations Manager component. So completing the wizard, the SCOM console opens up, and we can also view a lot of this information from the web console as well. But before we do that, let's complete this setup installation here by backing up the encryption key. So gonna click next. I'm just gonna give it a name.